Good morning and welcome to 365 Days of Amazing Stories with Theo Mayer. Here we are on day 130 and I'm continuing the story of Donkey Skin. And just show you where I am. I'm actually waiting for my car to charge, just somewhere down there. And I'm out here in Sand City, California, early this morning. So, we left the story. The king had actually slaughtered his source of prosperity, the donkey with the big ears that dropped coins to the ground all the time. Or every night. The one that had the most beautiful accommodations in his stable. And it was something that people didn't really understand, why he took such good care of this animal, even better than his Arabian steeds. Now, the wonderful princess's fairy godmother never thought that he would actually go so far as to slaughter this animal. And, well, when he did, she was a little vexed by this, but she went, actually, at this point, to the princess, and she said, "Look, don't worry. From this point on, everything will go well." And she instructed the princess to, that very evening, drape the donkey skin over herself and to leave and to go off into, the world. Now, this was a big change for the princess. She'd always been well taken care of, all her needs met. She'd lived in some luxury, affluence, and here she was now leaving with really nothing except a donkey skin. The fairy godmother did let her know that wherever she went, whenever she needed or wanted those beautiful dresses that had been made for her, they would be there for her. Now, what a thing to take a newly slaughtered donkey skin and drape it onto your body and to begin to make your way through the world. But think about what she'd been kind of pushed into by this man who really could care nothing about her feelings, but was only concerned about himself and getting what he felt he wanted. And he equated his wants with his needs. He needed that princess as his wife, his stepdaughter, a woman who had considered him as her father. So she covered her beauty. She covered herself up, camouflaged herself from the world so that she could be free. And she made her way away from the palace and the life that she had known. And she began now to travel through the landscape. And fortunately, she had been instructed in, ways of finding food out in the landscape. Her mother had been wise in sharing all that she could with her daughter about this. And so the girl was able to find food as she went along. Nuts, roots, plants that she could eat, and was healthy as a result of foraging from the landscape. For they do say that foraging from the landscape, the food is much more highly enriched than anything that is grown by a person. So on she went. She traveled through villages, and people would hardly look at her because that donkey skin made her look like just a wretched person. But beneath it, the princess felt sheltered, camouflaged, within a barrier that she felt safe. Hide that beauty away so that it would not be, well, sought after by anyone that couldn't see her for who she was. On she went and on for days turning into weeks. And she was traveling through one small village that was within a king's realm that was not in any affiliation to where she'd grown up. And suddenly she hears a woman calling to her. Hey, you, donkey skin, come, please, come over here. The woman was out in her yard, small yard, fenced-in yard, and she called the princess over to her and said, "What are you doing? I need a young woman, a young person, to do many of the tasks around this place, and well, I'll pay you well, and I'll give you somewhere to sleep and food to eat. Good work to do. Will you take it?" Donkey Skin said, yes, I will. And so the old woman led her up a stairway in this house. That was a royal house. What I mean by that, it was one of the homes, village homes that belonged to the young king that ruled over that land. And, well, he would visit it sometimes, he and his wife, and sometimes they would bring their son with them as well. Not by younger than me, the king was. And his son was in his late teens, just about to turn 20. And so they had throughout the landscape these places where when they were out and about, they could stop in, spend the night there, have everything that they needed. Country homes, you might call them, away from the palace. And this was one of those country homes, those royal homes, well taken care of, old, but well taken care of, and known for its charm. So the princess, we'll call her Donkey Skin now, set up the staircase to a room, her bedroom, and the old woman said, "Here's where you can stay." And it was a nice room, small. The windows from it faced east, and the morning light, Donkey Skin could tell, would come streaming in through that window. Well, that very day she got to work and began to do all kinds of tasks around this country home. She took care of chickens and goats and cleaned up the chicken manure out of the chicken coop and made sure that they were well fed and watered, and milked the goats and milked the 2 cows that were there, and helped make product from all that milk, butter from the cream that would rise to the top of the cow's milk. What a task it was in the mornings to go down and lean her head against the cow and, well, watch as the steam rose off the warm milk. Cats would surround her as she was milking, and sometimes she would take one of the teats of that cow's udder and squirt it on one of the cats, and The cat would then spend its time licking the milk off of its fur. She loved it. But she would not venture forth without that donkey skin draped over her. Okay, we'll leave the story right here for now and continue with it tomorrow on day 131. Okay, hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks for joining.